Once again, caught me adjusting myself, but that's all right. How's it going there, Mr. 411?
I'm great, man. What about you?
Doing wonderful. Blessed as always.
Yes, sir. October the 4th, 2022. It's another week of the NFL, another week of sports, and another week of the Sports Brothers.
Yes, it is.
Yes, sir. We're going to go through the quarter poll right now. There's roughly, 17 games now? Uh, but usually around the 4 game mark, that's when you start breaking things down. So, I'm going to give you your credit there. You was like, hey, man, it's time to break down the quarterly poll here. I'm like, hey, that's a great idea, Zach. So let's do it.
Well,
And so
thank
that's
you.
what we're here to do today.
All right.
So we'll talk about surprises, disappointments, MVP candidates, and all in between. So it should be a good episode here, Zach.
Yes, it should.
All right, you know the drill. Are you ready?
We ready. We ready. Yes, sir.
All right, Sports Brothers.
Yes, sir. And we are back.
That's right. See, I got my hardcore look right now because that beat just goes hard, Zach. Sports Brothers
It it oh, I thought you were talking about Pastor Troy. Yes. Sports Brothers goes hard too.
goes hard, man. All
Thank you.
right, please do the following.
And your favorite part of the show. So gotta
Yes,
love
sir. The like button, the subscribe, and notification. It does nothing but help us, and it helps us help you in return. So please help us out. It doesn't cost a thing. Doesn't cost a thing. Here's a receipt. 6 ways to support us is right there. And look at the bottom total. Zero. We're not even asking for anything but your time. So we thank you.
I like that. Give us a shout out.
Yes, yes, yes. All right. Well, Zach, we're going to dive into the NFL. Let's talk about the quarter poll mark right now. Um, Topic number one that came up in the production meeting, written by Zach, the best rookie. So the best rookie so far in the NFL, in your opinion, Zach, and mine is
Chris Olave. I hope I said that right. My buddy Jason Walker will be pretty happy. This Ohio State kid, but uh, we need to have the calculator on because I told him, I said, "Hey, Chris Olave is going to be productive for your Saints. It's early, but so far so good."
yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's definitely he looks the part. You know what I mean? And it doesn't hurt to have injuries at the wide receiver position at this point. It's kind of opening the door even more. But Jarvis Landry and Michael Thomas, they are proven receivers. I mean, they're proven like Pro Bowl caliber receivers at that. But the injury bug has hit them. But even before the bug really kicked in on both of them, um, Olave, he was getting some love out there anyway, and he looks like he belongs out there, Zach. Jameis Winston has been looking his way prior to Winston didn't play this week here. But what's interesting about that was he still got a touchdown with the red rifle at quarterback. So it looks like he's here to stay, and the sky's the limit for him.
Well, and fantasy people like this, but he's projected with 153 targets, which I think will come down once the injuries uh, or they get healthier at wide receiver. My reasoning why I thought he would be productive is because I was expecting him to settle into the 2 or 3 slot for the Saints, and that he'd get favorable one-on-one coverage against a second or a third tier, second or third corner on the team. and right now he's expected to get 1,424 yards. Uh, I don't think he will end with that much with those other two individuals on the team, as you said, but still very productive so far. So far so good. His buddy in with the Jets, Garrett Wilson, I think want to say he's not doing too bad either. So those two Ohio State products so far, good picks by those teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's some of the statistics right there so far. Um, but he's having a great season at this
Uh,
point.
Absolutely, like
Yeah.
he's doing he's doing
But
what he can do.
yeah, absolutely. And I did notice this too, Zach. The game over in London, I was able to get some of the footage of that. I was kind of tied up, but I did get some of that game in. But I also went back and looked at a little bit of the 22, 22 angle.
The
And
all
you could,
22, yes, sir.
yeah. And Patrick Peterson was jamming him a lot in that matchup. And you would know this as being a cornerback, and a great cornerback that you were in your heyday. Patrick Peterson is he's at one of those elite type corners, um, big corner too. And I did notice that a lot of attention was brought to Olave in that game. So that's showing right there, what his trajectory is when they start game planning you, especially this early in his career. So that's a big sign right there of respect.
I, he and his Ohio State buddy are good. It's kind of a Ryan Day needs to look back and see, hey, why was I able to get this team to the college football playoff last year? They had some talented wide receivers. And no shock, Olave, as you're saying, is being productive. He's an NFL talent, most definitely.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll get to that was some showing some good love there, right? The best rookie, on the positive side of things right now. But then we're gonna look at the other side of the coin here. The next topic is disappointing team slash player. So we'll go there. We'll run that over to you, Zach.
Well, mine is easy. Team I touted at the start of the year, thought they had the best skill players in their division, the Las Vegas Raiders. They're 1-3 at the quarter pole. They can dig themselves out of the hole, but they're going to have to do a whole lot to do it. And you can extend that to the coach because that whole group, and I'll say offensively, is where they really haven't gotten it done. In between Carr, Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams, you can throw in Darren Waller. I forget the slot guy's name out of Clemson. But
Renfro.
yes, Renfro. You would expect them to have been better than what they've been, and they hadn't really been putting up any big numbers. I want to say this past weekend they finally got some pretty good offense together, but yeah, uh, disappointing. And then Trevor Lawrence. I know everybody's going to look at the Jags and they say, hey, the Jags are kind of above the curve. The two games they lost to the Eagles, and everybody would say, well, the Eagles are the best team in football. Shouldn't have lost. They had 5 turnovers. It, I'm sorry. I said the team did have 5 turnovers, but he had 5 turnovers, an interception, and 4 fumbles. Like he's got to play better. And then the week 1 game they lost, he had a bad interception late in the game that closed any chance of them being able to come back. He's supposed to kind of be the wonder kid. He's supposed to be a difference maker. Right now, he's a quarterback. When he's been good and hasn't turned the ball over, they've been able to win. But he's he's been a clear issue of them losing, and it's no excuse of him being young or whatever. Your job when you go out there on the field, you're a football player. His job is to produce for his team. Uh, they probably beat the Eagles if he doesn't give the Eagles 5 extra possessions. Not so sure about the Washington game, but Lawrence needs to be better uh, so he can make. I think I had them getting in as a playoff team. I'm not sure if you had them or not. We'll have to go back and check. But they can make the playoffs. They can win this division, but the quarterback is killing them right now.
Yeah. Well, for me, Zach, as far as a disappointment right now, and it could be recency bias right now, but it's the Rams. And if you look at this picture, you see the Rams, but you also see that quarterback too, which is also going to be my disappointing player. But the reason why I say the Rams is, I mean, this is a team that they just won the Super Bowl, and it's early. It's early time of the season right now. But watching them last night, I mean, the defense. They did bring up Bobby Wagner, former Seahawk. They brought him in. They have Donald on the front line. They have Jalen Ramsey on the back line. I mean, it doesn't get any much better than that, to have on your unit. And for them to struggle the way they are, I mean, tackling is just atrocious. I think they had maybe one hit on the quarterback last night, and that was Jimmy G as the quarterback. One hit on Jimmy G, and then you saw it. I mean, they were getting shredded by Debo Samuels and others out there. The tackling was just porous. I mean, Debo is a tough dude, but I mean, they made him look like Bo Jackson on Tecmo Bowl. Once he breaks loose. So, for those who played Tecmo Bowl back in the
Just say for
day.
those that remember Tecmo Ball, Bo Jackson was a bad SOB over there.
Yes, you bouncing off of him. And like, I mean, the tackling and everything just looks porous right now. Even in the win versus Atlanta at home, by the way, there was a home team against the Falcons. That game came down to a late situation. And it's just like they're just kind of hanging on right now. I think Atlanta was on a drive late in the game where they could have either tied or took the lead. And there was a good interception at the end by Ramsey, but it took all that to get that win. And so the Rams are my disappointing team. Stafford, I was thinking about this one. I was like, man, I want to go Russell Wilson, but we talked about it before the season that we didn't really think Denver was going to like light the lead up on fire and things. But if you just look at Stafford, man, I mean, he can get away with things right now because of the Super Bowl win. But look at that, a 71 rating. Look at the INTs in the INT column. The Buffalo game, by the way, the Rams defense was shredded on that one. And Stafford didn't look good against Buffalo. And then the next week it's Atlanta, two more interceptions. And then last night, just atrocious. And that just has to be the team that I'm gonna go with. So I'm going with the Rams as a whole, and I'm going with Stafford as the disappointing player because he has weapons as well. I mean, he's loading up on Cooper Cup, but he did that with Megatron in Detroit as well with Calvin Johnson. He loads up on the one excellent player, but I want to see him hit other players. I want to see him make, the mid-level receiver become a viable part of the offense. You know what I mean? Kind of like make everybody else better type deal, like Peyton Manning. Um, has done over his career and so on and so forth. So those are my selections right there, Zach, for the disappointing side of things.
And just want to say that you want him to be Houdini. That's Matt Stafford is being Matt Stafford. Like that's what the Rams paid for it and gave him extra money for. They got their Super Bowl. They should count that as they got what they were expected to get. Now, look, we see you said it. Look, and what did you say? He did just like he did with Megatron. This this feels about right for Matt Stafford.
Yes, sir. But man, I sure want to go Russell Wilson. But man, thank you,
I I,
Rams.
I know you did.
Yeah. So that way I don't look like the Russell Wilson basher. But
It's still
thank
early.
you, Rams, for being disappointed.
We got another quarter. Like, give it time. Denver, look, Denver lost their what running back Williams to ACL or what ACL and I think MCL for the year, and the other running back keeps damn fumbling that they got from San Diego. So or I should say from the Chargers. Uh, Give it time. We got another quarter. We got another 3 quarters and a regular season finale to go over. Plenty of time.
Plenty of time to go, right?
Yes, Russ has
All right.
he got a lot of games to try and get this ship right,
Yes,
or
sir.
continue it going the way it's going.
All right. It's gonna be interesting. All right. Surprise team / player.
Well, my team is easy. It's going to be the team from our home state, the Falcons, and your team, and our friend Jennifer's team, the Seahawks. Both of them at 2-2 are tied for the division, and at least from the Seahawks standpoint, they probably feel like if they hadn't kicked the game away against Atlanta, they'd be 3-1 and leading their division. So this plan or whatever that everybody had that the Seahawks would be in for the number one pick or at least a top 5 pick as of right now, Pete Carroll ain't trying to hear that, and the Seahawks ain't trying to hear that. And with the Rams being the Rams, Arizona not showing a whole lot, say offensively, at least throughout the whole season. The Seahawks have at least a smidgen of a chance to win the division because their weapons. Who is it? Penny. Penny played very well on Sunday. Like when everybody was talking about Denver had better weapons than the Seahawks, I didn't understand where they were coming from. And if Penny's going to play like Penny played, Seahawks are like Geno just has to be average. They'll give a fight to everybody. And as far as the Falcons, I don't know how the Falcons have done this. Like I'm gonna be real. I would fully expect it to be like 0-4, 1-3 maybe at best. And so far they're 500. This is probably terrible because them going 8-9 would be worse than anything they can do. But kind of same thing with them. The Bucks are trying to figure it out. The Saints are worse than what you expected the Saints to be. I'm not sure Carolina is any surprise with Baker Mayfield. I'm not going to give the Falcons any chance to win the division, but they're in it right now.
Well, I mean, that's all you can really ask for right now is just be in the mix. You got to win the games that are in front of you. And you mentioned my Seahawks, and my plan. Let's win one game, and get Will Anderson from Alabama, and then maybe one more year from now we get established quarterback. And Geno is not a bad quarterback, but I mean he's definitely right in his wheelhouse. He found his niche in the league, similar to the quarterback in Cleveland right now, Jacoby Brissett. Those guys are solid, and they're not going to hurt you at any time. Geno actually is putting up some pretty impressive numbers early in the season.
He was way good on Sunday.
Yeah.
Like if he continues to get better like that, they probably still need to get a quarterback for the future. But he'll be a good bridge. In fact, he'd be a great bridge if he's going to keep doing that with those weapons.
Yeah. And you also mentioned I talked about it a little bit earlier in the fantasy football show that this gentleman's name was going to come up later on in the Sports Brothers show, and that was Jared Goff.
Yes, he is definitely my surprise player. Jared Goff is 8th in QBR right now, as opposed to the previous year where he was 24th. Now, it's not shown on the Lions record, but the Lions lead the NFL with 436.8 yards per game, and they're scoring 35 points per game. Unfortunately, the defense is giving up more than 35, but Goff is playing good football. Like, no one would have thought that Jared Goff would be playing football like this. And same thing with the Lions. The Lions could probably be 3-1. They kicked some games away, and in part because of their defense. They gave Philadelphia all Philadelphia could handle game 1. This past weekend, they kicked the game away. And I might be wrong. The Lions might be 4-0 because I want to say they kicked the game away against the Vikings also. So
yeah,
good job. Like now, Jared Goff, you wouldn't think it, but he has some weapons because it's 2 running backs. Though you got to get them healthy at both times. But Swift and Williams, they've been going well. I think Williams leads the NFL with 6 rushing touchdowns. And is it Amon St. Brown?
Yeah, he didn't even play Sunday.
He's been a good receiver for them. Hawkinson when Todd Christensen on everybody. If we want to
Yep.
go his name, but like it, they got to figure the defensive part out. But if you're a fantasy guy and you can only control your side of the ball, if they're gonna score 30 points a game and Jared Goff is gonna be eighth in QBR, that's that's pretty. And I can't say all of them numbers are empty numbers because he is getting some of those numbers when the games are kind of tight. Now he's made some mistakes, but overall, Jared Goff ain't being Jared Goff. Like Jared Goff is playing better than Matt Stafford right now.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, look, my surprise team had to think about this a little bit, just kind of let it marinate. And they may not be the typical surprise team. Uh, but they are called America's team
Woo!
for some reason, Dallas Cowboys. And I'm going with them, and I'm going with them for the reason of, you know, because of what happened so far during the season. Okay, so I'm going with Dallas as my surprise team. They are 3-1 right now. And their starting quarterback is Cooper Rush. And Dak Prescott went down in game one and the loss to Tampa, season opener at home. And it's like, man, okay, you had the Eagles, who are that team that just, Super Bowl favorite. They're currently 4-0, but even at that time, it was thoughts of Philly's going to kind of get up to a great start. And if you're going to lose Dak Prescott, I mean, man, that means you're going to have a lot of games to make up. And at this point, the surprise factor to me is that Dallas, they only have one game to make up, and they get to play them twice during the season. So they can control their own destiny at that point. Now, my brother Nick, up in the Peachtree City area, he's a Dallas fan, a fanatic. And then my father, Tyrone K. Jones Sr., is a Eagles fan, a fanatic. So, they don't get along at all. But you got the Dallas Cowboys. So I'm picking them as a surprise team. So I don't want, some of my Philly family get mad at me, but we are the Sports Brothers. I call it like I see it. And man, with Cooper Rush, man, he's actually doing a great job. He's not hurting the team. So, all Dallas fans, you need to go out there and order you some Cooper Rush gear, because this man is really saving the season. We talked about Jacoby Brissett, Geno Smiths, add Cooper Rush to that. I mean, the guy's prepared. He's ready. He does his job, and he's not hurting the team, and he's allowing the team to do what they need to do. The Dallas defense has been pretty good this year. It's been a solid defense. They haven't given up 20 points yet in the season, so they're doing their part to keep things close. Even that Monday night game against the Giants, that was supposed to be the Giants coming out party, and they went in there and came out with the victory.
Well,
I didn't predict that. I had it the other way around. So, they're making a believer out of me right now. And, there may be the question out there that maybe, Rush needs to kind of be in there. Now,
no.
of course, financially, there's going to be financial reasons why you need to go with Dak and draft reasons and stuff. But, hey, I mean, Rush is, he's showing you that, he can really, manage a team. So Dallas is my surprise team right now for the quarter pole.
I, no arguments there. I would agree when Dak Prescott went down, you would have thought the season would be over. Rush has kept things steady, but I also think the organization has tightened things up since Dak went down, and they're being more mature and responsible about things. And when Dak comes back, they don't need to go to try and throw it 30, 40 times again. You need to go to same formula you have now.
Right.
Occasionally let Dak try to make more plays. But they'll get in 2 weeks because I actually think they'll probably go win this Rams game now. In 2 weeks, they get to do a real test. Now, I believe the Dallas Cowboys defense is pretty damn good. At least when they can play even or from ahead, we'll get to see what they're like when they go up against Philadelphia, because Philadelphia is they're a team. Like they hit you on both lines of scrimmage. Offensive line will hit you in your damn mouth, and defensive line will hit you in your damn mouth. They play grown, like Calvin probably he likes how their team is built. They play grown man ass football. So when Michael Parsons was up there whining about Leonard Fournette hitting him, oh, he gonna get hit. So I'm sure he'll be prepared because he see film, but that will be the first true test. So if anybody talking about Cooper Rush gets to keep the job, let's see how he does against Philadelphia at Philadelphia. And depending on how he performs and the team performs, to me, might should dictate how you'll go.
Yep.
But
It's an interesting storyline.
oh yes, now I kind of expect them to get smashed when they go see Philadelphia, but I expected them to lose before. Maybe they go. It's a field goal or touchdown game. That would be impressive.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, we're going to talk about the coaches that are in the hot seat, the coach or coaches. We'll discuss that, but we're going to do that right after this commercial break.
Sounds good.
We'll be right back.
All right.
And we're back.
We only got one? Oh man.
Yes, sir. All right. GG Events NYC. Check out Janice if you're in the Northeast area. You saw all the pictures and diagrams, all the pictures there. She does a lot of great work. You want to party, you want it to look right, she can take care of that for you. So let GG Events take care of your event. Coaches, or Coach Zach on the hot seat. Who you got?
I had two, but I'm just gonna go with my one, who is Matt Rule. We'll see how things go as the quarters keep going, but Matt Rule has not been very good. He's 11-26 overall and has not won more than 5 games in any season. Now, here's the great thing about Matt Rule. All these college jobs are coming open. So when he fails or gets fired this year, he's going to have his choice probably of a lot of the college jobs, I'd say minus upper tier SEC jobs that are coming open. So no real loss to him. But he's kind of been that classic, I think, college coach that comes to the NFL and is like, yeah, it just ain't working. And it's not. So I think let's give it about. I don't think he'll be the head coach when we get to the second quarter poll review. If he is, I'll be shocked.
Oh, so he's on this what you call that? The stove hot. I mean, he's burning hot.
Yeah. He's dead man walking.
Yeah. Carolina really hasn't done much, and they definitely was a candidate for a disappointing team as well. Mine, Zach, is, man, it's a coach that, I really don't want to say this, but Ron Rivera, I think he is the on the hot seat, man, over there in DC, the commanders, and he's the commander of the commanders right now. And I'm not sure how much he will command anymore, because right now, man, look, they beat the Jaguars, and that's really been about it for them. They've been looking really disappointing. They had a loss to the Cowboys, again, which leads to Cooper Rush being a surprise. And this is a team right here that we talked about. And Ron Rivera, of anybody, of all coaches, I mean, he was a defender, with the Bears, 85 Bears, and that great defense. And that was his forte. And we talked about it when they were the Washington football team. They have an excellent defense, but what's happened? And I just don't get it. This team really is not, getting it done. And, when that happens, you have to point towards the coach. And he's been there long enough. And if you can see the stat that's going on the screen there, like I mean, he's struggling. Uh, but his record now is 27-38 since 2017. That's 5 years ago. I mean, and he was with the Panthers when he had his last winning season. So if you was with the Panthers in your last winning season, I wonder how the Commanders and their organization is going to handle this. So he is the coach that's on the hot seat for me. When you're not getting it done in the win column, at some point, organizations make a move, and I think he's one of those guys that will eventually be moved out of there.
Well, he hasn't been able to get the quarterback position right. I want to say he kind of sort of had it. Then Alex Smith got hurt. And you talked about their defenders. Outside of the one season, 2 years ago, their defenders are not doing their damn job. And you can't fire everybody on the damn defense. But as you said, you can damn sure get rid of the coach.
Yep.
And that's probably what's going to happen. And I would guess this will probably be the last head coaching job Ron Rivera gets. He's an older guy. I'm not sure anybody else is going to bring him back in to be a coach. So it sucks. But going into the season, we probably thought this was one of the worst divisions in football. So you would have thought, or at least we'll go maybe outside of Philadelphia, you would have
Right.
thought, okay, Dallas, Giants, you can manage those. And so far, you couldn't beat Dallas with a backup quarterback.
Yep. All right.
That's
So there's our coaches, man, that we have on the hot seat. Let's get to some fun stuff here, man. The first quarter, the first 4 games of the season. Who do you have as your MVP, Zach?
well, I'll say the easy thing. This person is not going to win the MVP because the MVP is a quarterback award. But I like what Mark Slayer said. Quarterbacks are not football players. I need everybody to understand that. When they try to say a quarterback is the best football player, quarterbacks don't do anything that is football related. They're about like kickers. They're specialists. They're quarterbacks. But a quarterback will win the MVP. As of right now, my MVP is Saquon Barkley. Leads the NFL with 463 yards rushing, averaging 5.5 yards a carry. And with him, it's really been health. He's healthy. If he stays healthy, he should have a productive season. And that's it. He won't win it, but the Giants are outperforming expectations, and he's a large part of their offense. So I would have him.
Yeah, and he was a monster before he started getting injured, early in his career. And man, it looks like he's back, he's healthy, and looks he's ready to roll, man. And he's actually a good weapon in the passing game too. And yeah,
Contract year.
he's an ultimate weapon. That's definitely an excellent selection. My selection is, and my dad's gonna be happy with this one. But for the first quarter of the season, I'm going with Jalen Hurts. Um, he is the NFL NFC Offensive Player of the Month, as you can see there. He's at 900 plus in passing yards, and his rating is over 100. He has the rushing and passing TDs. I think combined about 7 TDs right now. So I have Jalen Hurts as the quarter pole MVP right now. The Eagles are undefeated. They are no losses yet. So I'm gonna go with Jalen Hurts at this point as the MVP.
And the great quarterbacks are not going to win you a Super Bowl. Go see Aaron Rodgers for that. Great teams will win you a Super Bowl. Philadelphia has a well balanced team. Like they are good throughout the roster. Jalen Hurts is going to be the beneficiary of that. Now, will he be the beneficiary of that when it comes to him getting a new contract? Because that lets you know what people really think of you inside the building. But as of right now, you are correct. Eagles are undefeated. And if you're going to give the MVP, like Hurts getting the MVP would be like the Eagles winning the MVP. So no problem there. Philadelphia has been built very well. So good for them. And you and I, we are old enough to remember when Philadelphia was just kind of a team that made the playoffs and a lot of times was one and done. So them getting the Super Bowl a few years ago was a big deal. And if they can get back to it, they have a great fan base. They can be mean, nasty, or whatever sometimes, but they love their team. They show up to support their team. So good for that fan base that they're getting an opportunity maybe that they can possibly go to the Super Bowl again. Uh, the NFC, I think overall, what we might have thought about it is down a little bit.
Yeah, it is.
So, so this would be the time for a lot of teams that want to win a championship or at least make a Super Bowl appearance to get that in. So good for the Eagles. I would
Yeah,
have no problem with them making it to the Super Bowl.
yeah. It looks wide open right now, but we'll see how it go. Speaking of what we'll see, the next question that we have, next topic that we have on the board is what do we expect going forward?
Well, I I expect Green Bay to get better. Like they're gonna have a rough go of it, but Aaron Rodgers is still that dude. Aaron, like for whatever Jalen Hurts is doing, and how you want to maybe ooh and ah over Jalen Hurts, Aaron Rodgers is that dude. Uh, he is what Baltimore wants Lamar Jackson to be. Like at least pre, I should say at least regular season. He can make the pieces around him better. He got paid the $50 million a year. Um, because the expectation is he's going to make the pieces around him better. I expect his receivers to get better. I expect Green Bay to get better. And I expect Green Bay to start showing some dominance in this division. And I would say I expect Minnesota to come back to the pack just a little bit. I would also say I'm gonna stick with this until I can't. They say dance with who brought you. I expect the Raiders to get better. When we get to the quarter pole, I expect the Raiders to be 4-4.
They have the
So
weapon, man. They have the weapons, man. Jacobs finally exploded this year. I mean, this week. I mean, this season. And man, it was the
they
wrong time
finally
for that
they
because I
finally
lost a
gave the
fantasy
damn
game
ball.
because of that. But who cares about my fantasy game? But
No,
you know,
no.
Jacobs exploded, man,
Well, they
and
gave him
that's
the
the one of
damn
the
ball
weapons.
finally. They ran the damn ball. Like
Yeah,
some of it ain't you know uh arithmetic or whatever. Some of it is just do the right thing.
yeah,
It ain't hard. John Harbaugh and his let me go with that one too. John Harbaugh might get fired. I know we talked about some other John Harbaugh, but John Harbaugh's he unless he has a different decision behind, I mean a different reason behind the scenes. What John Harbaugh did, if I'm the owner, I gotta think about firing him now. It's been they won that Super Bowl back in 2012, which has been like 10 years. Uh, that's enough time and enough paychecks where you had good graces out of it. We may need to clean house
Eh,
because
oh,
his. Oh, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, what was the decision he made?
The in the Buffalo game, he went for it on fourth down instead of kicking a field goal. And then he said his decision was based on analytics, which if you look at the analytics, if you scored a touchdown, I think it was a 76% chance you win the game. If you kicked the field goal, it was like a 67% chance. So that's not a huge
Yeah,
difference. And then he talked about that, you were putting your defense in four down territory for every play. Okay. But if you had confidence in your defense, then your defense needs to go out there and stop them anyway. Now, what he can say, what he didn't say, is that I didn't think my quarterback that wants to get paid $50 million a year and get all this guaranteed money was going to throw an interception, then the ball would get moved to the 25 or to the 20 instead of being on the 2-yard line. That's a different conversation. But you got to kick that field goal because, unless I'm mistaken, you can't win the game with the score tied. You got to win the game having at least one more point than the other team. So you were going to need to get another score anyway. So I would keep an eye on John Harbaugh, the Ravens, because depending on how this thing goes, they've blown two big leads now. They should be 4-0. Like they really should. You had two huge leads. You blow one to Buffalo, then you blow one to Miami, which are two teams that are contending for the top spots in the AFC. If you end up as a 6 or 7 seed, these games will be a direct correlation as to why. And 8-9, 9-8, say even 10-7 finish, and you get one and done in the playoffs. I'm not sure the owner keeps John Harbaugh around.
Well, look, he also made a decision late in the game against the Steelers last year. I think they went for two. They went for the win late in this. I forget what week it was now, but it was in Pittsburgh, and the Ravens drove all the way down to score, and it ended up going for the two. And it was a disaster on that conversion. They lost the game. So it's like he's making these decisions. And so yeah, I mean, I think I like the point that you made. Is like the last Super Bowl was so long ago. I think Ray Lewis was playing. So you
Yes.
know that is I wouldn't be surprised either, man. But yeah, it's time to make some kind of move on that. And I think that he's done his time. I mean, he's done a great job there. But maybe it's time for him to coach another team.
And I didn't realize he's 60. So like he's not a young guy. I not to say that 60 is old, but he's 60. So I mean, making a move away from a 60-year-old coach, okay. Like, and he probably makes he is probably highly compensated.
Yeah.
So giving somebody else a chance might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, man. Well. What I'm expecting moving forward, Zach, I expect the Buffalo Bills. That was a solid victory. They needed that victory after losing to Miami on the road, and then Miami losing the following week. It kind of
Yep.
counterbalanced that out. And the way Buffalo smoked the Rams opening week, and then they turn around and smoked Tennessee, I think that I expect Buffalo to get things on track. And I think they're going to go on a run, and we'll see that they'll probably break out as the strongest team in the AFC. That's one thing that I'm expecting for sure. I want to see Dallas and the Eagles. I expect that division to come down to Dallas and Philly. I really see that coming now. I think that everybody needs to buckle up and watch those two games when they play each other. Um, that's something else I'm looking forward, looking ahead for the season. In the AFC, man, I already talked about the Bills, but I want to see if the Bengals. I want to see if they're going to turn this around. I want to see if Joe Burrow is going to be Joe Cool, as they say he is, and we'll see because he gets hit a lot. But I want to see if he's going to be able to survive this, the onslaught, and see if Cincinnati can keep him upright and get him through the season. Also, man, we forgot about our boy Deshaun Watson. By
Oh,
week 11, Deshaun Watson,
yeah.
will
That'll be third quarter. But yes,
yeah.
I the Browns they look another team. They should be 4-0.
Yeah.
Losing like you lost the game to the Jets and you lost the game to the Falcons that you should have won.
Yep. So it'll be interesting to see where they're going to be. Cleveland going to be for that, that back stretch from week 11 on to see how that's going to go. See how I want to see if the offense is going to change with him being in versus Brissett. I think Brissett's done a solid job, and so when you pay the money that you pay Watson, he's obviously going to be behind center. They're not going to not let that happen, but we'll get to see how good Deshaun is. He's been out the game for a while, and so we'll get to take a look at that. So I'm looking forward to that as well. And man, and lastly, how are all the teams going to survive these injuries? I mean, that football is a game of attrition, and You got to deal with it. It's just part of the game. Every week somebody's going to get injured. Every week we out there on the waiver wire trying to pick up our, another player. So that's what it is. So I want to see which team survive the injury bug, and we'll go from there. But yeah, those are some things I'm looking forward to, Zach.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, we're not done yet. A lot of people think we are. We're not done yet. It ain't over. Like Ice Cube said, it ain't over. All right. So we're gonna get to the week 4 scoreboard and put that up just so that we can we talked about the quarter poll, but we're gonna go ahead and talk about week 4. And we don't have to go into too much detail. Because we kind of broke down a lot of things and gave away a lot of information as far as wins and losses. But we'll just throw the score up there for those who didn't get it. And we'll start with the Monday night game. You did hear me talk about how the Rams were shredded on the defensive end. The 49ers, they took that one 24-9. And then here are all the other scores, as you can see on the board. While the scores are up, Zach, you got any comments?
Well, I guess look at your team. That Detroit Seattle game, very high scoring with two quarterbacks that you would have thought were pretty limited. So that was a good fantasy game, good interesting game, good for those quarterbacks. Patriots, Green Bay. I told you I expect Green Bay to get better.
Yeah,
but man, that would have been a terrible loss if
it
you
would
had
have.
like third string quarterback. And Aaron said it, but that's a game that you can't lose. And I hit this when I called Trevor Lawrence my most disappointing player, but you lost that game by 8 points and you had 5 turnovers. No shame in losing to the Eagles. And in fairness to the Eagles, like the Eagles created those turnovers. Like it wasn't just like Lawrence just went out there and said, no, those were forced errors. But he has to be better. Like they have a great shot to make the playoffs. He's got to be better. They should have they should be up in this division by at least a game. But he is not performing as a number 1 overall pick. And the young excuses, like he's been playing football a long time. You don't turn the ball over. Like that's the most precious thing out there on the football field. If you don't do that but punt, that gives your team a better chance or gives your defense a better chance. Maybe that's instead of that's an 8-point lead, maybe that's a 6-point lead or something of that nature. And those are the things that I would say, of course, jump out at me. And I guess if I want to beat a dead horse, the Ravens lost by 3 points. Like whatever John Harbaugh wants to say, if you to kick that field goal, you put pressure on Buffalo to try to score a touchdown. In worst case, they know we got to kick a field goal, and you probably get some time to score again. So those are things. And thankfully, I have NFL Red Zone, so I get to watch all of those games or highlights of them.
Well, good. That's why, and then you get to come on here and break that down for us, and so that's good. Oh man, that's the scoreboard. Man, that kind of ties everything together for today. Zach, you harped on the Harbaugh, coaching decision. We're gonna get that on our YouTube page, and so that everyone can get to take a look at that. So we'll get that up. It'll probably be uploaded, within the next 30 minutes or so. Depends on the production team. They might do it a little sooner. Might throw them a couple of dollars here and there extra, and then they can get that up there for us. So,
All right.
but yeah, because everybody needs to see that. So yeah, we'll break that down, and so be ready to go out there and take a look at that. But we need you to hit that subscribe button so you can get the alert when it comes up. So we definitely appreciate you doing that in advance.
So, quarter poll, what do you think of your Seahawks so far?
Well,
Are
man,
you
Zach,
happy or disappointed?
well, I mean, I know this. Pete Carroll, I like Pete Carroll. He's an excellent coach. He's a motivator, and I think he's the right coach for Seattle. Because it's more about the collective, and he's a motivator. He gets people excited. wanting to play, and if you just work hard, he's going to support you, and you can tell that the team likes to play for him. Um, Seattle is surprising me because of the two wins. I really thought that Seattle would get one out of their first four games. So to go 2-2 is pretty good. The 48 points is still mind boggling, but I am going to take a grain of salt with that because the Lions are, they're one of the worst teams, if you will, as far as defense goes. But they took advantage of that situation anyway, and so I just think Seattle's they're going to be a tough out for a lot of people. That's just going to be the thing. I'm happy with that. So that's where I'm at with Seattle right now. Definitely need to continue. But here's the worst part about them, though. I'm gonna end it with this defense, right? That's why I keep talking about Will Anderson next year. Seattle needs to continue to build the defensive side of things because against San Francisco, against Atlanta, against Detroit, 3 out of the 4 matchups, the defense hasn't been there. You know what I mean? It just hasn't been there. So that's where my focus will be with Seattle in the rebuilding process is on the defensive end. But I'm gonna watch them, and as long as they're competitive, I'm good.
Oh, that is good. And I just want to say, anytime you say anything about an NFL team, just keep in mind it's an NFL team. So when teams are going out doing this stuff, they are doing it against professional football players that get paid. Uh, so 48 points against the NFL team is still 48 points against the NFL team.
It is. I mean, it is. I mean, at the end of the day, they didn't have to score 48. They could have scored 12 and then been like, yeah, that's typical defense.
So,
I mean, offense of Seattle, but they did show up.
and I want
Oh,
to
there it
say,
is. Big fish, little boat. He's an Eagles fan. You can see him with the chant
I,
EAGLES.
they
I think they
probably
say Eagles after that.
they
He had to let us know that. But yeah, he's a huge Eagles fan.
they probably
Shout
hype up
out to
there
Big
right now.
Fish, Little Boat.
Like they love it. Look, everything is gonna be good until they hit a little losing streak or whatever, or if they lose a game in the first or second round of the playoffs. But look, it's great to be an Eagles football player when you up there winning. I should say it's great to be a Philadelphia professional sports player when your team is winning because you're gonna get all the love. But if you lose, if you don't perform, you're gonna get all the smoke.
Ask Carson Wentz.
Yes. Like you can't hide up there. Like, no. They know how much money you make. They probably know where you live. Oh, they gonna recognize you when you out on the street. They gonna let you know how they feel. And they should. Fans pay a lot of money. So as long as they not doing anything to harm anybody, do what you want, but good for the Eagles and good for their fans. It's a shame the Browns can't get the same feeling right now because they have a great fan base too.
Yeah, they do. They definitely do. Let's give a shout out to Blackjack TV for the simulcast. We appreciate the Jack. Blackjack TV.
Yes, thank you, Blackjack.
All right. All right, Zach. Man, that does it for our episode. Like I said, we'll get that um Jim Harbaugh, we'll get that Harbaugh situation out there, uploaded so that we can take another look at that play, that decision that they made. And let's see who else I oh, here we go. Carson Wentz comment before we get out of here. Carson never recovered from that ACL. So he says all on Hurts now. Worked out for Hurts.
Well, hell, that ACL, MCL been broke for like 3 years, ain't it? Like, is it ever gonna fix? That's the worst ACL uh injury in history of man, ain't it?
Hey, look, it looked like it was a good decision by the Eagles to go with Hurts.
Uh,
So yeah, shout out to Jalen Hurts, great
They,
season so far,
they are,
and
he's
shout
doing
out to
his
the
job.
Eagles.
He's doing his job. Hurts, don't take more than 20, 25 million a year. No matter what they tell you, you keep it at 20, 25, stay the Eagles starting quarterback, and everything will work out for you so they can put pieces around you. You get 30 plus, it'll be different conversations about you, different results on the field.
All right. Any closing comments, Zach, before we get out of here?
No, so far a great football season. NBA is getting started, so we probably will have a nice little mix coming up. And look, I need to wait a few hours before I jinx it, but my Braves swept the Mets, so we just need one win to get that win the East, which will give us an easier path in the playoffs, and let y'all go deal with the Dodgers for us.
Yeah, we'll take care of the Dodgers. We'll be back.
Hey, appreciate. Look, go handle them. I'll be cheering for y'all to beat the Dodgers. So I'm going for you.
Well, yeah. Congratulations to your Braves, to a lot of people around here's Braves.
Well, we got to win one more. We got to look because we got to win one so we can go on. Because I don't want this to come down to the last day and we're tired or something. Like, no, we need to win one.
Yeah.
Or y'all lose one for us.
That can happen too. But the good thing is, they added all those wild card teams in baseball now. So, it used to be you win that division, you in. That was what everybody tried to get to. But, it opened the door for other opportunities. So, that's a good thing when it comes to the Mets right now for me, selfishly. So good thing that you don't have to win division to get in. But it's nice to have that division title under your belt, though.
I'll be honest. Shocked we beat DeGrom, and then even more shocked that we beat Scherzer. And Scherzer gave up some runs because I thought, like, I want to say y'all got on the board first. I was like, damn it. Like, that's it. And we got a little lucky.
It is what it is. It is what it is. Better team took it. So, yeah, man, tip the cap, man. That's all you can do.
Well, thank you.
All right.
We'll see what happens postseason.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, he's Zach. I'm Mr. 4-1. We are the Sportz Brothers. We appreciate you watching and listening. Have a good day.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.